All right, let's jump right in. Today we're talking about something that has the entire world on high alert, the growing tensions between Iran and the United States. So let's break down what's really happening.
You've probably seen the headlines. For a while now, the relationship between these two countries has been getting worse. But lately, things have hit a really critical point, and the international community is, frankly, pretty worried. And this isn't just some distant political drama. It's a situation that could have very real consequences for all of us.
So the big question is, how did we get here? First, let's look at the recent events that have really turned up the heat.
When we talk about escalation, this is what we mean. It's not just politicians disagreeing anymore. We're seeing actual news reports of attacks on things like oil tankers. We're hearing a lot of really aggressive language from leaders on both sides. And maybe most worrying, we're seeing military hardware, like warships, moving into the region. These are the kinds of actions that can turn a tense situation into a real conflict.
But what's really driving all of this? Why is this happening? The roots of this conflict run deep, and there are a lot of layers to it. Let's unpack the main issues.
So this isn't about just one thing. It's a whole mix of long-standing problems. First, you've got the political side, a fundamental clash of ideologies that's been going on since Iran's revolution back in 1979. Then there's the nuclear program. The big flashpoint here was the Iran nuclear deal. When the US pulled out of that, it really reignited that whole fire. And finally, you have what's happening across the Middle East, where both countries are basically competing for influence, often through local allies in places like Syria, Iraq, and Yemen.
And none of this is happening in a vacuum. The rest of the world is watching this play out very, very closely. And a lot of countries are deeply concerned about what could happen next.
This quote really says it all, doesn't it? It perfectly captures how most of the world feels right now. Whether you're talking about the United Nations or major world powers in Europe and Asia, the message is loud and clear: talk to each other. There's this huge push to get both Iran and the US to just step back from the edge and find a diplomatic solution, because everyone is afraid of the alternative.
And here's exactly why the world is so on edge. A war would have absolutely devastating effects that would spread far and wide. For the Middle East itself, it could mean immediate chaos, wider conflict, and a massive humanitarian disaster. But it doesn't stop there. For the whole world, it's a major threat to global peace, and it could seriously mess with the global economy, especially if key oil routes get disrupted.
So this all leads us to the most important question of all. Where do we go from here? Is there a way to cool things down?
When you strip away all the high-level politics and military posturing, there's a really clear and simple desire for peace. The hope, from everyday citizens to world leaders, is that both sides can find a way to de-escalate this and avoid a truly catastrophic war.
And so we're left with this final, massive question. With tensions this high, with so much bad history, and with the stakes being this enormous, can talking and diplomacy actually win out over the push towards conflict? Right now, nobody knows the answer, and the entire world is watching and waiting to find out.